that they are communicating with the spirits of their ancestors. So now they will play these three instruments. They call their set basal. They have their own two-string guitar. So they call this one Kudyapi or Kudluan. And it is considered the first guitars here in the Philippines. So now they will play their guitars. They call the song Bogit, which means bird song. That is the Bogit song. So their music is more naked. That's why it's called Bogit song or bird song. So next, they also have a musical instrument made out of a piece of a wild bum. So this is their musical instrument made out of a piece of a wild bum, and then they put these rocks on top. So through vibration using their mouth, they can create an amazing sound. So they call this instrument aruding. Aruding. That is aruding. So they play that all night long together with the women and children also. And the more they play po, the more the music is much louder and beautiful. And next naman, the Palawan tribes are also hunter-gatherers. So first one, this one is called Surayang. Magsupor means thank you to them. So this one is Surayang, and the other one is called Ikit. So this one's Surayang. It looks like a harpoon, but it is not used for fishing. They use this to trap their target. For example, there's a wild boar. They just simply throw it at a distance. And if the target gets hit by the Surayang, the metal will pierce. And because of this nose, it will get stuck. If the target tries to escape, the metal will separate. So the purpose of the handle is to hang on the bushes or on the trees so that the target can no longer run. And they will follow up with this ligid to kill their target. So basically, Surayang for entrapment and ligid for the kill. So that's how smart the Palawan tribe is. And next naman, during the rainy seasons, the Palawan tribe also hunt birds and squirrels as part of their diet. So before that, they use a technique to copy or imitate the sounds of birds and squirrels. They call that one tapios. Tapios! That is tapios. So if their target is visible, they just prepare their blow dart or blow gun. It is sapukan in their dialect in sumpit in Tagalog. So they don't use bow and arrow. They use this sapukan or sumpit. So it is made out of bamboos. The other bamboo is inside. So the other one is inside. So they will show you how to use this by looking at the target over there, the drawing. So that is how they shoot animals. So their target on the eye is the eyes of the target. So according to them, they can hit further than that, about 30 meters away. So imagine how strong they build that. So here in the city, ma'am, sir, they don't hunt anymore because our hunting ground is limited. But with the help of this donation box, we give them money to buy their things in the market. So here in the city, they don't hunt. They just buy their things in the market. So, but back in their village, in the mountains, if they hunt the bigger animals like wild boars or monkeys, they put poison on the tip of their darts. And the poison monster, they are the only ones who knows how to make the poison. But if you ask them, they will tell you that is one of the ingredients in making their poison. They call this plant beta, and then they collect the saps, resin or dagta, and then mix it with other plants. And then cook it in a slow fire, and then the poison is formed. So according to them, if they hit the target with the dart with the poison, in a few minutes it will die. So if they accidentally do anything, they accidentally because there is no antidote. So if you're asking, how do they eat that meat with the poison? They just simply wash it in running water and then cook it, and then they can safely eat. So lastly, Ma'am and Pidong will show you how they make fire in the mountains. So as part of their survival, they have their own unique way of making fire with just 3 materials. So first one is their wild cotton, or they call this one lublog. So this is their wild cotton. It is made out of young shoots of palm that they plant and then mix it with charcoal powder. And then next, we have here a flintstone or buhay na bato. This can be found near their village or near rivers. Then lastly, a piece of metal together with the agong isanang and the metals of the spears. These are 100 years old and given to them by their grandfather. And also, living evidence that they had a bartering system long time ago. So now he will show you how they make fire. They call this process santikan, which means friction. So as you can see now, sir, with these two materials, they can create a spark. And because of that, the cotton, to catch the spark, the smoke is visible. And if the smoke is visible, you just put it in the dry leaves and then blow it until the fire comes out. So this is their fastest way of making fire. Yes. And as part of their training in the mountain, also, they teach the children at least 5 years old, they know how to make fire in the mountains. And also, they know how to hunt. So, kahit na meron na po tayong lighters and matches, this is their way pa din to sustain their culture. There we have the fire. So to them, Maman means uncle, Minan means auntie, Oka means brother or sister. So this is their light or torch up the mountain. So they don't have electricity or kuryente. They use this torch. So they call this one salong or sahing. So salong or sahing is from a sap of a wild pili tree or pili tree. And then they just cover it with leaves. So according to them, 1 foot of this salong can last 3 to 5 nights depending on use. And also, 3 to 5 nights, ma'am, depending on use. And also, they believe that the smoke of this can drive away bad spirits and bad luck. And also, they use this for aromatherapy, insect repellent, and to cure headaches and stomach aches. So now, ma'am, sir, I will go around and let you smell the smoke. Don't worry po, there is no chemical added, but pure sap only. Smells like incense, kamangyan, or yung pausok ng father sa simbahan according to my Catholic friend. So that is what it smells. It is from a sap of wild PDT or PDT. So ma'am, sir, thank you for listening. That's all for our cultural sharing. So if you want to know more about Palawan tribe, it is Magsupor.
We are here in Crocodile Farm, here in Palawan, Puerto Princesa. We're still waiting for our tour guide to arrive. Look at the lake there. It's a man-made lake, I think.
Later after our birth. For this tour now, we'll assist you from this point down to the hatchling house and up to the fence of the big crocodiles. And then after our tour, if you have more time and then if you want to see more animals, you can proceed inside of nature park. And there you will see a lot of dynamic animals like Palawan Berkat, porcupine, eagles, Palawan burning pig, and also Palawan peacock. But reminder for your safety, 1 meter away from the tour. Okay? Again po, at least 1 meter. Another one for crocodile holding, so if you want to experience, if you want to fly, to hold side of crocodiles, so you can proceed to our crocodile holding area. So if you want to avail, that is only for 60 pesos, that is unlimited picture using your cameras and cell phones. But before we go there to the crocodiles, I just want to give you some information about this skeleton and this is real skin. So everyone, so this is Rio, male saltwater crocodile, which was caught in Rio to Balifer, Batarasa, and the southern part of Palawan. He was purposely captured because he attacked and killed a native fisherman from the area. And it was confirmed that he swallowed only the right leg of the victim. He was captured in August 4, 1990. But after 5 months in captivity, Rio died because of internal bleeding and too much stress. And it's about 6 years old when he died. So for this skin, there's no commercial value anymore because ideally the one we use for making leather bags, shoes, wallets, and other products are the skin of the young saltwater crocodile, which is about 3 to 5 years old only. Because if you can see the skin of Rio, it is too hard and very dry for the machine to be processed. Another one before Rio has a record of being the largest crocodile captured from the wild. Nowadays, Lolong holds the record. If you remember Lolong po, or if you know Lolong, Lolong has been recognized by the Guinness Book of World Record as a largest crocodile in captivity with 20.3 feet long, or around 6 meters. Rio, 17.6 feet, or around 5 meters. Lolong is almost 1 meter longer than Rio. But Lolong, everyone, is not from here in Palawan because Lolong was captured in a Busan marsh in Mindanao. And it was captured in September 3, 2011, but last we had it in 2013. Lolong also died because of stress. And stress related to his environment. If you want to see Lolong, Lolong was displayed in the National Museum in Manila. And everyone that in Lolong in honor to his lead captor, Mr. Ernesto Lolong Puñate, former employee of this project. But suddenly, Mr. Ernesto died before Lolong the crocodile was captured, but not because of crocodile attack. He died because of heart attack. Our next station, everyone, will be the hatchling house, but before we go there, I just want to remind you for your safety. Inside the hatchling house, please, hands off. Do not put your hands and things inside the tanks of the baby crocodiles, because even though they're still young, but they can jump, bite, and cut off your fingers. So everyone, please, hands off. And you have cameras, cell phones, you can take pictures anywhere, but inside of hatchling house, please turn off your flash to minimize the stress of the young crocodiles. One of the difference between the crocodile and alligator are its snout. Because the snout of alligator is like a U shape, while the crocodile is like a V shape. And saltwater crocodile is bigger than alligator because the maximum size of the saltwater crocodile, especially for the male,
Ito, si Mr. Baker.
Si Daddy di Mami. Say hi to my mommy and daddy.
Mas maraming ulam. Maraming serving. Tama ka na, boy. Masaya.
Tapos nachos lang pala yung kinukuha.